Hi, I'm Rachel McAlpine, and this is a little bonus episode for my podcast, Learning How to Be Old, because I learned something recently that I never would have guessed in a million years about being old. It's a perk. Okay, so I found this poster, this famous poster called The New Zealand Poets. And I snapped it up for $30, reduced from $49. It's not just a poster, it's a historic artifact. It has the weight of authority. It was published by the New Zealand Book Council in association with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in, wait for it, 1986. So it's described by the National Library like this: a promotional poster commissioned by the New Zealand Book Council featuring 22 black and white photographs of contemporary and historic New Zealand poets and writers under the title New Zealand Poets. Yeah, it does have the ring of authority, doesn't it? It's almost like these were considered at the time the New Zealand poets, the foundation of our nation poets, the immortal gods of poetrydom. There's no way anyone would attempt such a thing now. There's so many glaring omissions. Remember, it was 1986 when I was 46. And even then, when women were coming into their own, still only 6 of the 22 are women. And even stranger, even weirder to our 21st century gaze, only one of these poets is Maori, Hone Tuwhare, and only one is a Pacific Islander. That's Alistair Campbell. That would be unthinkable nowadays, right? But it's a time capsule. That's the point, a moment in time when it was possible to even think there might be a canon of poets in Aotearoa, when a very small bunch of early Pākehā poets was indeed the literary canon studied at universities. It was possible to choose a mere 22 poets, bundling in together the dead and alive, and put them on a poster and call it New Zealand Poets. It was possible to think that a heavy preponderance of white males in any field of the arts was the norm. It was considered reasonable or even ideal. What's the problem? No problem. When white men with semi-conscious, unconscious bias ruled the roost. Now, to be fair, my own publisher, Trevor Reeves, was mad keen to publish me. And I'd never been published before, not even in a magazine, because he'd only ever published males. On the other hand, it was one of my books that he found out to a designer who made a huge botch of it. He even, let me see if I can find this book. Never mind, it's Stay at the Dinner Party. He even put the photograph of another poet on the cover. It was a male poet. I rubbed it out with some kitchen cleaner. Unbelievable. Never mind. Now, I wish the battle was won. But despite the forces of misogyny that are rising in this world, and they're terrifying, they're appalling, in this little tiny field, poetry, in this little place, Aotearoa, we do at least try harder. Or do we even have to try? I mean, thinking actively about diversity among poets seems almost redundant. That's worth celebrating. Because today, Aotearoa is bursting with poets of every stripe and even every age, a complete poster of contemporary and historic New Zealand poets. Today would need to be as long as the third women's suffrage petition, with 25,000 plus names, 274 metres long. Think of all the slam poets, the self-publishing bonanza, and all the poets on websites or Instagram alone. So, I am thrilled to have scored this old poster, rescued from the depths of history. It reminds me of my identity. I'm a New Zealander. I'm a poet. I'm part of history. And one of these days I'll be a historic poet, i.e. dead. Actually, I recently visited a wonderful little museum in Kaiapoi, near Christchurch, and I volunteered myself as an exhibit because nearly all the exhibits were from my own life. My bathroom, my sewing machine, my blankets, my baking powder, my recipe book, my kitchen implements, myself. Back on topic. The poet also reflects a strange and exciting era, the 1970s and 80s, when a gang of women poets just barged into the literary world and started telling our own stories in our own way. Some of us were excruciatingly polite, but crystal clear. Some were bluntly political. Some were cerebral. And some were furious and sad and stroppy and rude, like me. So, okay. Who made it into the Pantheon of Poets in 1986? The print is pretty hard to read, so I'll tell you. Left to right, top to bottom row. Let me see. Elizabeth Smoother, A.R.D. Fairburn, Hone Tufare, Vincent O'Sullivan. Bill Manhire, Dennis Glover, Ursula Bethel, Kendrick Smithyman, and Rachel McAlpine. You know that name, don't you? James K. Baxter, Louis Johnson, Charles Brash, Fleur Adcock, Alistair Campbell, Alan Curnow, Cilla McQueen, R.A.K. Mason. Oh, I think R.A.K. Mason was Maori too. I'll have to look it up. It wasn't made a meal of, though. And Sam Hunt. And the final row, C.K. Stead, Ian Weddy, Loris Edmund, and Brian Turner. 7 of these were past poets, i.e. no longer alive. A lot of them were my friends, or still are. The youngest was the brilliant Cilla McQueen, born in 1949, just 37 at the time, if my arithmetic is right, and there's no guarantee of that. But look, about learning how to be old, it's so funny to realise you are part of history. Who knew? Nobody else cares, but hey, this is one of the perks of being very old. I'm enjoying my little moment, so let me skate. I mean, if you've got it, flaunt it. But enough is enough. Bye for now.